Welcome back to the capsON podcast. My name is Tyler Blumenstick, joined by Nick Tobias, Sam Meehan, and Anthony Mano. It's week 12. We already are 3 games into the week with Turkey Day passing as of yesterday.
Man, what Thanksgiving games those were, right? Because we're not recording prior to those happening.
Yeah, they were
Definitely not
great
recording
immediately
after.
after the last second.
Mano, I can tell you that the winner of all 3 of those football games, they scored the most points.
They did.
So
That's true.
Man, that
Can't believe
quarterback.
Dak Prescott came back out.
I almost said it was a Christmas miracle.
they brought Tony Romo
Thanksgiving
from the
miracle.
booth. They're like, hey, Tony, can you come down? Oh, sure, man. All right, go ahead. Sorry,
Let's
Tyler.
That might have been
this.
the worst Tony Romo impression I've ever heard in my life.
I can give you worse if
You
really
just
want
mixed
worse.
like
Oh, hey, oh. That's Tony Romo right there. It's a lot of noises. All
This is a
right.
disaster.
we're
This
off
is a
the
total
hinges.
disaster.
We're off the hinges.
All right, so this week we're going to give you Sunday night. We're going to give you easy money, make the case, and then we're going to go into Monday night. So Sunday night football at 8:20 is the Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers. The line opened at Packers minus 7.5. It's now Packers minus 8.5. The total is set at 45. Now, we don't know if Mitch Trubisky is going to play or if it's going to be Nick Foles, pending Nick Foles' injury status. Just some trends here. Chicago 5-5 against the spread. Green Bay 6-4 against the spread. Chicago 3-2 on the road. Green Bay 2-2 at home. Chicago 5-4 as an underdog, and Green Bay 4-3 against the spread as a favorite. So there's that. I'm going to go with Green Bay in a runaway game.
I was going to say, pretend you're Mason Crosby and kick it off.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to kick it off with Green Bay minus 8.5. I think they destroy Chicago. I say it every week.
Why do you have to go and drop that kind of a word?
I'm sorry. They're going to destroy them.
Usually I do it.
Yeah, usually Mano does, and it doesn't work out in his favor. Like you said the same thing about Kansas City last week, and it didn't work.
I'm 0-4. When I say they're going to blow the doors off him or run him out of the stadium, like it doesn't work for me. So I got to stop saying it.
All right, maybe it'll work for Stick. Let's hear it.
I hope so. No, I say it every single week with Chicago's offense where they just don't move the football. I don't see them putting up maybe more than 17 points. So that gives Green Bay a solid 27 to win that by 10 and cover. So I don't know. This is just a gut feeling pick for me. I don't know. I don't really have much more.
Well, you talk about how the Chicago Bears can't score they can't score the football. I mean, Green Bay put up 31 against the Colts defense last week, and the Colts have arguably one of the best defenses in the league, and putting up 31 on that team is impressive in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Flip side of the football, the Packers defense is only giving up 192 passing yards per game. So whether it's Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles, I don't really think it makes too much of a difference. Now, a question mark for the game, besides the quarterback position, is still the running back position. If they're going to get David Montgomery back, if they get him back, does it really make that much of a difference? I don't know. Aaron Rodgers is a monster. He's been excellent all season long. He's got 300-yard. He's got 3 straight games with over 300 passing yards. He's going to have Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, Lazard, MVS. I really don't think it matters. The Bears defense has ranked 10th with giving up, 340 total yards per game. And the problem with the Bears defense is they are good, but they're on the field, more than half of the time, and they get run down. And especially with a player like Aaron Rodgers, I don't really think that they're going to be able to stand too much of a chance. I mean, 8.5 is a lot of points, and I granted I am very nervous to take 8.5 points here. But Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback, and I think that the Packers are the better team here, and they're home at Lambeau, and it's probably going to be cold knowing the way Lambeau works and Wisconsin works. So
Cold in Chicago. I don't think that plays that big of a deal. Chicago isn't the sunny confines of San Diego,
But at the same time, it's
cold is cold.
Cold is cold. Cold is cold, and I think Aaron Rodgers is more fit to play in the cold than Nick Foles. I mean, Nick Foles goes from Philadelphia to Jacksonville, where it's nice and warm, and then, I mean, Kansas City doesn't really count, but Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, the guy won the Super Bowl in February, Nick.
Yeah, but where were they playing?
Probably in a dome.
In a dome. It was in a dome.
All right. Mano, Sam, who's up?
Take it, Sam.
I'm going to do something that I really don't want to do.
Yeah, here he
both-
goes. Once
Both of you
again.
guys are going to take the Bears. Both of you going to take the Bears.
I'm going to take the Bears. 8.5, I think, is a lot of points.
Yes.
And this is I don't know what to say because even I hate what I'm doing right now. Probably more than you do. I hate the fact that I'm picking the Bears. But again, like I said in the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game, it's not as big of a difference, but Chicago is desperate. And I think they'll do enough defensively against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay offense. So, yeah, they put up 31 against Indy, which is incredible. 28 in the first half and 3 in the second half. I don't know if that says more about Indy's defense in that they could just turn it on like that, or if it says more about the Green Bay offense that they can go stagnant if they, take put off that a little bit. Same thing happened against Minnesota a few weeks ago where they scored in their first 3 drives of the game and then did not score the rest of the game. I think the Bears defense is talented enough. They haven't quite lived up to that talent this year. And I think this is, again, the huge game for them. I think the Packers will still win this game. It might be one of those games where you see, how the hell is this only a 6-point game where, Green Bay outgains them 450 to 280, something like that. But Chicago, as long as the defense can bend, not break, keep this game close, I think they can keep it within 8.5 points.
Let's hear it.
Man,
He's going to do it. He's going to do it.
I am
Come
going to do it.
on.
I'm going to pick
Come
the Bears.
on.
I'm going to pick the Bears. It's an 8.5-point game. They're 2 division teams.
Doing that now.
I don't know if it really has to come down to anything more than that hasn't been said already. The Packers are simultaneously one of the better teams and the most unimpressive teams in football. I don't know if it's possible, but I feel like the Packers give me that. The Bears are
They
coming
make
off
no
a bye
sense.
week. They don't, and they're still a really good team. I'm not taking anything away from the Packers. They're still a really good team. I just think the Bears coming off a bye week against a division, 8.5 is a lot of points. So I gotta take the Bears here. No other analysis other than that.
All right. Split down the middle. Me and Nick, Mano, and Sam.
Sammy, I hate to see you on the other side of this one, brother.
It's a rough one.
Mm.
All right. Let's move on to easy money for the week. I'll kick it off here with the Vegas Raiders -3 at Atlanta. Was that yours, Nick?
That was up there, yes. But go ahead.
You can tell we don't include each other on our picks because every week there is some sort of panic.
some
someone's
swiping
throwing their
down.
hands up in the air.
Yeah, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Usually it's a bad thing. If you tell somebody, oh, I'm picking this, and they're like, yeah, I'm doing the same thing. It's like, maybe I shouldn't do that. But here we are telling you what to pick. So, well, not what to pick,
Pretty
but
much.
giving you a thought process on what to pick.
All
Go
right.
ahead,
So
Nick, you
my
can
thought
talk.
process with
Thank
this. Huh?
I was wondering if you were going to talk.
Yeah, no, I'm going to talk. So I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders -3 at Atlanta because these are just 2 different football teams. Vegas is very solid and well coached, while Atlanta is kind of a team making the most out of a situation where their head coach got fired. They kind of have an interim guy in there right now. Look, the Raiders are 7-3 against the spread. Atlanta 4-6. Last week, the Vegas Raiders lost by 4 to the Kansas City Chiefs, the best team in football, arguably.
They would have won that game if that fullback made 2 catches. And if
100%.
Aguilar made a catch down the sideline. Granted, they were difficult throws and catches. But
Aguilar.
yeah, he was dry. We were catching him, unlike Aguilar.
Yeah. Look,
Keep going.
Derek Carr is cooking right now. I mean, if it weren't for throwing the ball away and the drop passes, he probably would have had maybe one incompletion, if not zero. He was on the money the entire time. You look at Atlanta, only scores 9 points against a New Orleans defense who, I don't want to harp on it, but they're really stepping it up and they're playing with a purpose over there. This is just simple for me. Vegas is a lot more solid. Atlanta is kind of crumbling, and I think Vegas covers a 3-point spread here on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I'll piggyback it off a little bit. I was thinking about taking this too. Las Vegas is arguably the most improved team in the league this year, taking a huge step from where they have been to where they are now. Their offense has taken a huge jump. And like you said, Derek Carr looks like pretty much a new quarterback under center this year, only throwing 2 interceptions and kind of hanging tough in there. And their running game is legit with both Josh Jacobs and Devontae Booker. But the other side of the football, you look at the Atlanta Falcons, they might be without Julio Jones. I mean, he was limited much of the game last week with an injury, and who knows if he's going to play this week. It's probably going to be a game time decision. But in general, I mean, the Las Vegas Raiders are giving up 275 passing yards per game. So that plays into exactly what the Atlanta Falcons do, and that's pass the ball down the football field. So, I mean, I could play the other side of this game, but I think the Vegas Raiders are a better team here, and 3.5 is 3.5 is good for me.
All right, who's next?
Hit it, Sam.
All right, so I had a few games I was thinking about here, but this line might be a little big, especially being they're a road team. But I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints -6 against the Denver Broncos. Was that your pick too, Nick?
Come on!
So Denver coming off a big win at home against a red-hot Miami team. They're able to shut them down on the the Miami offense couldn't do anything with Tua, and then Fitzpatrick came in and looked a little better, but then a big pick at the end cost me my best bet last week, actually. But I'm going to do it again. I'm going to bet against the Broncos. I know last week they looked good, but this is a team that, has been unimpressive all year. I was actually big on them in the preseason. I thought they were going to potentially compete for that AFC West. That, alas, is not happening. And the Saints have, I think, made their mark as the class of the NFC. Early in the season, I was unimpressed. I was not high on them. But the defense is starting to come together finally, and they're looking dominant more and more week by week. They're able to shut down Drew Lock in that offense, and just letting Taysom Hill just play, not, make him do too much. And Michael Thomas being healthy and doing that thing where he's, dominating every secondary that comes against him.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
Yeah, he started that thing again. So I think they win this game by at least a touchdown.
So I'm going to piggyback off of Sam because this is going to be my easy money pick of the week, and it is because of the New Orleans Saints defense pretty much. Last week, they gave up 36 rush. Last week, they've given up I think they gave up like 60 or 70 rushing yards, and right now they're giving up 74 rushing yards per contest. So you're playing a Denver Broncos team who's going to be playing from behind pretty much the whole game, and you're putting the ball into Drew Lock's hands, which hasn't boded well for that football team recently. He threw for 4 picks before they were not last week, the week before, and I just really like the way the New Orleans Saints are playing football. And even with Taysom Hill last week, he completed 78% of his passes, which is pretty high because, granted, usually these quarterbacks don't, have a completion percentage that high, but, he has a good mix of his passing ability, his rushing ability is huge. I just really like what the Saints are doing, and I think the Denver Broncos are real bad. And I think the Denver Broncos are getting points here because it's in Mile High and it's a different atmosphere. It's a different playing field, but I just think the Saints are by far the better team here. Taysom Hill is going into his second week being the starting quarterback after coming off of a huge win, a confidence booster. Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, the defense playing outstanding. Sean Payton's mind. I just don't really see the Saints letting this one slip.
So that's what you're taking is that's going to be your easy money pick too?
Yeah.
I mean, Nick and I tend to win together when we agree, so.
I don't hate it. Don't hate it at all. All right.
I'm going to I'm gonna take the Indianapolis Colts -3.5 as my easy money team. I look at this Tennessee Titans team, and
Before you
I
keep
don't
going,
know.
does that mean somebody else is finally on the Colts here?
Yeah,
I've been on the Colts.
Okay.
he's been. Yeah, I've been late to the party on the Colts. I've been late to the party on the Dolphins. I was early on the Raiders, so I'll tip my hat to myself on
Yes,
that one.
I was there too, bud.
While we're tooting our own horns here.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Um, the Titans eked out a very impressive win late against the Baltimore Ravens, right? And they kind of looked like ass doing it, right? They are the most boring football team I think that we have seen this year, and somehow they're 7-3. And I look at that team and I'm like, they stink. They're not 7-3, and here they are, 7-3. That defense has been torn to shreds. They just lost their starting left tackle. He's going on the IR. Their starting inside linebackers going on the IR, and somehow they're going to keep chugging on, right? But this is a team that lost to this Indianapolis team 2 weeks ago, right?
Yes.
And
By 17 points.
They had them beat. It was 17 points, but it was some fuckery from Tennessee special teams blocked. I think it was like a 24-yard punt.
There was a lot of shenanigans.
It was a lot of fuckery, right? So it was 17 points. Yeah, you can look at that, but it was more than 7. But it was less than 17 points, and whatever. I just don't think Tennessee's that good, and I think Indy has one of the best defenses in the league. You can make the argument for best defense, but
their defense is ranked top 10 in both offensive and defensive passing.
Exactly.
They're top 3,
solid.
I think, in everything. At least going into last week, they were top 3 in rushing, passing, and scoring.
Their defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, is going to get a head coaching job next season. He's been solid for 2 years now. For it to go for 2-3 years now for it to go ignored. I think so long as Phillip Rivers can keep on the pace that he's doing and not lose the game for them, he's good enough to win the game for him. Give me Indianapolis.
All right.
I love it.
There it is. So that wraps up easy money. Let's move on to make the case.
It's just nice to hear Mano talk nice about Phil Rivers after trashing him a couple.
I know. Well, that's what's kept me back. It's literally Phil Rivers. Quarterback is the most important position. If you don't have a good one, I'd feel hesitant taking you. Mm-hmm. But I just think Tennessee stinks. It's an ugly set. It might be the ugliest 7-3 that I have seen in all of my years of watching football.
I mean,
at least in recent history.
I mean, Phil Rivers does stink, but he's thrown for almost 600 yards, 4 touchdowns and 1 interception in the past 2 games, which is good. I mean, throwing for 1 interception and, a 2-to-1 ratio with 600 yards is pretty good. And, Michael Pittman Jr. has kind of came out of nowhere. Well, not really out of nowhere, but he was slow in the beginning of the year.
He was a draft riser, right? And then he came into the league, and it kind of I think he dealt with some injury stuff, and now he's starting to really come on, and they get T.Y. Hilton back at probably full strength. I think he was hobbled last week, but this week, it's another week down, should be closer to full strength.
But it's perfect because Pittman Jr. is that tall frame, that big frame that Phil Rivers has always had, especially when he was in Los Angeles with whoever it was, whether it was Mike Williams.
San Diego.
Yeah.
And a year in LA.
Get out of here, Stick. Get us out of here.
All right, make the case. I will kick it off with the Arizona Cardinals -2.5 at New England. Arizona 6-4. New England's 4-6. Arizona 5-5 against the spread. New England also 4-6 against the spread. I'm still not completely sold on New England, so this is more a play against them than on Arizona. Both teams coming off of a loss, New England to Houston by 7, Arizona to Seattle also by 7. But when you look at the teams that these teams have played the last couple weeks, Arizona split 2-2 against Seattle, Buffalo, Miami, and Seattle. So split against Seattle and a win against Buffalo. For New England, they lost to Houston, beat Baltimore, which was a shock, and squeaked out a win against the Jets. And lost to Buffalo while Arizona beat them. Arizona's just too explosive for me, and I don't trust New England and Cam Newton just yet. And This is just a line that is begging people to take New England plus a field goal at home. But I don't think they're going to do it. I think the Ravens win's giving them too much respect, and I don't think they're that good. I just think the Ravens are not as good as we think. So
It opened at a pick 'em.
yeah, it did. So a lot of money's coming in on Arizona, and I still don't think it's high enough. I'd probably take this up to like a 4.5, 5 number, probably.
It's just I always have a tough time betting against Bill Belichick-led teams because I don't know what I'm going to get out of that New England defense.
I mean,
that
you'd
team
be
in general.
profitable. You'd be hitting at 60%. They're 4-6 against the spread.
I mean, yes, but I'm talking about in general. I mean, I look at last week when the Patriots had a favorable matchup against a Houston Texans defense that isn't good, and they couldn't keep up, and you expect the New England defense to step up, and they just didn't. And this is another game where they're going to have to play catch up because Arizona's offense is obviously one of the top offenses in the league with Hopkins, Kirk, Fitzgerald, Drake, Edmonds, Kyler Murray, and their defense has been playing pretty well too. Granted, they kind of got beat, a couple, last week when they played Seattle, but still, I mean, Arizona's a better team here, and they should win the football game outright.
I like what you said there. Basically, I mean, I feel like Arizona and Houston are pretty similar teams in the sense that they're both powerful offenses and have playmakers on offense with a really good quarterback with very similar skill sets. With defenses that aren't very good. And if New England couldn't handle Houston, they can't handle the better out of the two in Arizona. So
correct. I think that was good.
It's a fair assessment.
That was a nice little back and forth we got.
You like that?
Yeah.
I think Bill Belichick, just my 2 cents here, I think Bill Belichick has made a career exposing quarterbacks and making them do things that they're not comfortable with. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyler Murray struggles in this game and if Arizona struggles in this game. I think they're going to score points, and I think they're going to have to force the Patriots to catch up at some point. But I don't.
The Patriots can't play catch up.
I don't know why
this
this
year.
is. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they can keep up. But I do think they're going to struggle more than what you guys might be letting on.
No, well, and I
see
agree.
a relatively low-scoring game.
I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. I mean, Bill Belichick has made a living off of taking away the the offense's best player, whether it was a tight end, whether it was a wide receiver, whether it was a running back. So he's gonna build this defensive scheme around taking away DeAndre Hopkins, which is understandable. And now you're really forcing Kyler Murray to make smart plays, whether it's a pass or whether it's running an option and making a smart play doing that. And I like I said with you, like you said, man, I think it gets to a point where it's a catch-up game, and I don't know if Cam Newton can play that catch-up game with what he's got right now.
All right,
next.
I'll go.
Yeah, there's a little laugh again.
Last one.
Here it comes.
Oh.
Do it.
You already know it. You already know what's happening right now.
Make the case, Sammy.
We're making the case for the New York Giants as a 5.5-point favorite over the Cincinnati Bengals on the road. Are you serious? Like, what the hell am I thinking, right? What I'm thinking is this. Joey Cover's knee just exploded, and the Cincinnati has looked very not good the past 2 weeks. Since they beat Tennessee, they lost to Pittsburgh by 26, and they lost to Washington by 11, where they only managed 9 points in that game. Giants defense is good. They're actually, I'm not sure if they'll be active, but Xavier McKinney is practicing this week. I'm not sure. They'll probably integrate him in a little bit, but the Giants defense getting better and better. Giants offense getting better and better. Daniel Jones is starting to look competent at the quarterback position. Finally starting to see some improvement in his decision-making. And I think they could very well win this game by a few touchdowns just because I don't see Cincinnati being able to score. I mean, this is now essentially Cincinnati's team from last year that they won how many games? 1, 2? I don't know.
I don't know.
Right?
Wasn't very much.
No.
And they were very, very bad last year. And
Not what you want.
I mean, Joe Burrow has kept them competitive this year. They're still 2-7-1, but they're 7-3 against the spread, as are the Giants, actually. But yeah, I think the Giants come out here and it's a big game for the Giants. Regardless of what happens Thursday, someone's going to be 4-7 most likely, and they got to keep pace if they want this division title. So Giants -5.5.
I mean,
All
I
right.
could talk Giants football all day, and I think the Giants have gotten better defensively, especially like Sam said. The Giants are expected to activate Xavier McKinney and both O'Shane Jimenez, the X-Men. Yes, the X-Men, and that's a huge boost to a defense that's already got its confidence riding high. I mean, going into a bye week with the W, seeing the Cincinnati team over the bye week kind of get smashed by the Washington football team is a huge confidence booster. I mean, Daniel Jones still has more interceptions than touchdowns this year. He's got 9 interceptions, 8 touchdowns, which is whatever. But he's still completing about 71% of his passes, which is, huge for this offense that's trying to march the ball down the field. And, the running back committee has kind of worked with Wayne Gallman and Alfred Morris. Like
Gallman has been awesome.
But like, who would think that these two players would be propelling this Giants offensive rushing game? The Bengals are missing both Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon this week. Part of me feels like Giovanni Bernard is due for a big game, which kind of like hurts my soul, but a part of me feels like he's due for it. But their defense isn't good, and Cincinnati's defense is giving up 136 yards per game. So I think the Giants win the game here. I don't want to bet on this game because I just want the Giants to win, and I'd rather not win money than have the Giants win the football game. But I can understand what you're saying.
That's called fandom.
Who's up?
Yeah, I'll go. I'm gonna make the case for the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, I'm going the exact opposite. So that's.
Are you really? Are you really?
Oh boy! Oh boy!
Okay. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about the Bills here, right?
Okay.
Coming off a bye week.
Tell me about them.
Coming off a bye week, right?
Okay.
And they're home, right? The team that they're playing played last week and is coming from the other side of the country, right?
I've made this argument before, and you've told me it's a baloney argument, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm making it now, so it's not baloney. It's post-Thanksgiving, so it's leftover turkey now.
Leftover turkey's good. Leftover sandwich is the best sandwich. Sorry.
Leftover sandwich, baby.
The Chargers are coming across the country to play a Bills team that have the bye at home, right? I think that alone gives the advantage to the Bills, especially when you consider that they're 5-0. Let me just double check here. Yeah, it's 5. Buffalo -5.5. I think this is a 10-point game easily. I think the Buffalo Bills have improved their offense from the beginning of the season, and that's hard to do since Josh Allen was an MVP candidate. They've gotten more balanced, and they started really letting Josh Allen kind of throw routes that he's comfortable with, throw balls that he's comfortable with. The Stephon Diggs acquisition has been crucial. I don't think the Chargers have anybody on that defense that's capable of stopping them, especially when you consider that they've blown leads in every single football game for the past 5 years. I don't think it's that close. I'm gonna keep pulling the Herbert's gonna regress eventually card until he actually does it. Give me this week against a solid secondary with Poyer, Micah Hyde, and Tre'Davious White.
Okay, so you say that the Bills defense is, I don't know, would you say solid? They're giving up about 260 passing yards per game on a near 70% completion rate. And right now, Herbert's completing about 68% of his passes on throwing 22 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. I see this game as more of a back and forth kind of game. I mean, I do know that Los Angeles' defense is not good. Right now they have no excuse. They got Bosa back. They got Melvin Ingram back. There really shouldn't be any excuse for why they can't play any defense. But it's happening, and it looks bad. And they lost last week to Denver. Or no, that was Miami that lost last week to Denver. But still, you talk about how the Los Angeles, they always come within, they blow the game at the end. But I think they kind of backdoor sneaky cover here. And I think Justin Herbert's offensive arm propels them to a cover here. You look at two defenses that aren't good against two offenses who are good, which makes for a good game here. And maybe the bye week does boost the Bills a little bit. But I like Justin Herbert, and he's going to make a strong case for Rookie of the Year. Now he's got no other competition, so why not take grab the wheel and just drive it right into it?
I mean, if the Chargers blow the game, I mean, they'll probably cover the 5.5 if they choke away the lead.
And that's kind of what I see here.
And you kind of are waiting for Herbert to regress at some point. I mean, Tua did not look as sharp last week. Burrow regressed when his knee bent the wrong way. I don't know who else is starting.
Naturally,
that does happen. Yes, naturally.
And I think it's got to happen at some point where Herbert looks, like a rookie, just making dumb mistakes and whatnot. But so I definitely lean Buffalo here, but it's a fairly rated game, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be on Buffalo too. I think
it's tough because both defenses really have been underwhelming this year, they were both expected preseason, kind of be in the upper echelon of defenses, and they just aren't. And I don't know what I'm going to get from either team, but I'm going to put my money on Justin Herbert for whatever reason. It's the new haircut. He looks like Buzz from Toy Story. He looks like a bully. I don't know what he looks like, but here's my money, Justin Herbert.
All right. So since Nick broke the rules twice today with a piggyback pick and then the opposite pick, I'm gonna add us in. I'm gonna take a third pick today, and I'm gonna make the case. Although I think it could be an easy money for the Kansas City Chiefs -3.5 against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Oh, God. I'm sorry, but Tom Brady looks flustered. I think this is a runaway game. You saw what the Chiefs did in the last minute, 40 seconds of that game.
They didn't cover.
That's an offense that I'm not betting against. You get them at a -3.5 against a Tampa Bay team that crumbles against every good team they play.
In primetime.
This is
before Tom Brady's bedtime. He'll look better.
I don't care. No, the Chiefs are just too good. The Bucs falter too many times in a game for me to trust them. I think the Chiefs offense capitalizes on that, and they win this game going away. I think I don't know. This is easy for me. The Chiefs are just too good. They're just way too good.
I'm leading Tampa here, but I'm not.
I know you said an actual pick.
I mean, my favorite things to do are bet the Giants and bet against the Chiefs. So,
I'm personally just very against this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. I think they've been way overhyped, especially their defense. And I think it's easy to blow the top off of their defense. And you saw it last week on Monday night where they just couldn't keep down the Los Angeles Rams the way they wanted to. I mean, Cooper Kupp had 6 catches on the first drive, which is pretty absurd. I don't know.
I mean, you look at that game as like a direct parallel. They lost the game to the Rams by 3. This spread is 3.5. Is Kansas City a half point better than the Rams? Yeah. So I feel like there you go. There's your answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a Mahomes-led game. I think this is just going to be a heavy passing game between both sides. And do I trust a younger, I guess, more athletic and a better overall quarterback in this day, in today in Patrick Mahomes, or do I trust,
best quarterback ever? I don't care that he's only played 3 years.
Or do you trust the best one of, if not the best quarterback in the NFL history, and Tom Brady? Granted, he's 40 years old. I mean, you look at these offenses; they both have pretty much the same weapons, across the board with tight ends and wide receivers and running backs. So it's going to be a scoring. It's going to be a back-to-back affair. I just think Patrick Mahomes has more in the tank than Tom Brady does, especially from what I've seen out of both of these teams.
All right, so there you have it. Let's move on to Monday night. We have Seattle visiting Philadelphia. It's an 8:15 game on Monday. Seattle are 5.5-point favorites. The line started at Seattle -3, so Seattle's getting a fair bit of public money here. Total set at 50.5. I'm going to kick it off. I'm going Seattle. I hate Philly. I think they're a terrible, terrible, terrible team. They couldn't beat Cleveland. They couldn't beat the Giants. They're not going to beat Seattle, and Seattle's going to whoop them. That's it. There's nothing more to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The Eagles this year have just kind of been underwhelming to me. What do they have offensively and defensively? They don't really have much. I see Sam smiling over there. It's kind of making me feel uncomfortable because I know why he's smiling. I don't know if the Seahawks are expected to get back Carson, but clearly they got Carlos Hyde back last week, and that did the job for him. They get Carson back. I think.
Oh,
it's huge.
Chris Carson. Okay, I thought you were talking about Carson Wentz. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Oh yeah, Chris
I mean,
Carson.
essentially, yeah, because Carson Wentz is
kid.
the best defensive player for any team.
Yeah, I mean,
Give
listen,
him the ball 3
watching
times a
him
week.
watching him play last week, Carson Wentz play last
tough.
week, was hard. I mean, I took Cleveland -3, and I like that, and I think they should have won by more than 3, but I think because of the rain and the weather, it looked even worse. I mean, the Seattle's passing defense is not good. They're giving up around 345 yards per contest, and it's really not good. But Carson Wentz clearly hasn't really been able to figure it out underneath center either, making bad mistakes, forcing the ball into tight windows. And I think Russell Wilson makes another case here to be the MVP. And he kind of figured it out last week. He didn't look like he was trying to make all the plays with his arm. He looked like he was trying to let the rest of the team do the job, which is big. I think, I mean, Philly's, like I said, with the run game before, Philly's, giving up around 140 yards per game, which is important because if they have Carlos Hyde and granted Chris Carson, I think if Seattle has the run game, it's going to be a runaway game for them.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think Philadelphia's secondary has any answer for DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. There's just no way.
Yeah, so
No, wait, no. I want to hear from Mano first. I don't want to hear from you, Sam. I want to hear from Mano.
Sam, are you gonna be honest here? Are you gonna pick the Eagles?
Can I say what I want to say?
Yeah, you can say what you want to say.
Oh, well, there goes that. There goes Mano going first. There goes Mano going first.
When I look at this game, I kind of getting the same kind of feel as it had to be like week 4 or 5 when, again, the Eagles were struggling and they were about a 6-7 point dog against San Francisco on Sunday Night Football, and they won outright.
Okay, but I hate.
Let me go.
San Fran's offense. Seattle's offense.
How about you let me finish, and then I can get to where I was going. Where I was saying was Seattle is not San Fran. Seattle can score the ball, can score it quickly. Carson Wentz can score quickly for the other team. What I mean, because Carson Wentz is terrible. He is an awful quarterback. I was a believer in Carson Wentz as a Giants fan. I'm like, this guy's good. Like, he makes some dumb decisions sometimes, but like so did Eli throughout his career. He ended up all right. But God, Carson Wentz, he looks lost in the football field. As much as I want to take Philly, I will be taking Seattle.
Yeah!
There's Johnson right there.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Let me finish, Nick. Asshole.
All right, man.
Little
It'll break our
lefty
hearts.
Lucy Johnson over there.
No, I'm not gonna break your hearts. I can't do it. Sound the sweep alarm. I'm picking Seattle -5.5 here.
Get it going.
Just please tell me how bad are the Philadelphia Eagles?
They're bad.
Thank you.
And it starts with Carson Wentz, right? And Carson Wentz, we can bid adieu to the former Carson Wentz that we once saw because he was an MVP candidate when they won the Super Bowl and he got hurt. He hasn't really been the same since. I don't know if it's mental. If it's mental, I wish him the best. If it's physical, that stinks. It happens sometimes. But this Seattle team, like you guys said, can put up points in bunches. They are Russell Wilson. If Mahomes didn't exist, Russell Wilson would probably be the MVP, even though he's kind of struggled. I think he's still been among the better quarterbacks. You can make an argument for some other ones, but in a Mahomes-free world, I would think Russell Wilson is the best quarterback in the league. This defense is getting right. They didn't stifle. I guess they stifled him. Yeah, I'll put the word out there. They stifled Kyler Murray, right? And it's the second time seeing a team, so it's a little bit easier to do that. But they're getting right. Carlos Dunlap has paid dividends for them, and that was a midseason acquisition. You don't always see that for midseason acquisitions. I mean, he sealed the game last week with a sack and a 3-man pressure. So that's impressive to me, and that's a pass rush that was inexistent prior to him getting there. So even one guy kind of helps, right? Frees up other guys. And you guys said I don't think Philly has enough to catch up with them. Seattle has 10 days of rest coming off the game, their last game. I feel like it's too easy, but it's one of those picks where I'm like, yeah, this is too easy, but it's too easy for a reason. Give me 5.5 and give me it right now before that line gets to 7.
Yeah,
Or
100%.
It's in
7.5.
Philly or
with
in
you.
Seattle?
No, it's in Philly. It's in Philly.
It has to
But,
be in Philly. That's why it's 5.5. If it was
in
at
Philly?
CenturyLink, I think
I
it'd be
mean,
like 7.5.
the only part of
Yeah, that makes sense.
Seattle's defense that didn't really look good last week when they played the Cardinals was on that final drive when they kind of got picked apart until they let Arizona get to the 30-yard line, and then it seemed like they kind of hunkered down and I don't think Kyler Murray had one open receiver to throw to that whole last series.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, the Carlos Dunlap sack on the last play of the game was huge. He's paid dividends. You get a healthy Jamal Adams now. I mean, he's been back a couple of weeks, and now he's back and he's in the grind and he's back in he's in good physical shape to take over a football game. And Carson Wentz has just looked bad. He still has, I think, probably the most turnover-worthy plays in the NFL by a margin. He was up by 7 before last week. He's got just as many touchdowns as interceptions, and it's just bad. And the Eagles need to figure it out, and they won't figure it out this week. No way.
When would you, if you guys were Doug Peterson, right? When does Jalen Hurts start? Is it if they lose this week? Is it? I don't know if they've had
Yes.
I think they've had their bye week already. But is it after?
They
if
have,
they
and I
lose
think
this week and Carson
It's not
looks
going to
bad,
happen.
I don't think it's a
It's
start.
probably
I think
not
it's a
going to
pull.
happen.
I don't think it's a start. I think it's a pull. You pull Carson
You
Wentz
think he gets
3
pulled?
quarters. I think he gets pulled 3/4 of the way through the game, and I don't know if it's going to be this week or whoever they play next week. But granted, you're down 21 points going to the fourth quarter. Why wouldn't you give it a shot? Your season's already almost gone. You're going to lose this game. Why not see what you have? And arguably one of I mean, he was a Heisman contender when he was at Oklahoma. I mean, and when he was at Alabama, he was arguably one of the best quarterbacks.
Everyone's a Heisman contender at Oklahoma. Every quarterback is a Heisman contender.
Still, I mean, you see what
It's
you
just
had
a fact.
I would give him a shot. You draft him for a reason. You don't draft him to run a 2-quarterback set. You don't draft him for that reason. You draft him because you know what you get.
Yeah.
What you want out of him.
I
I don't want to harp
Some
on
of
it,
the
but that
arguments-
is the worst. Because he comes in the game, you know exactly what they're doing. It's the dumbest thing you could possibly be. I
Right.
don't
He's
understand
a weapon player that is supposed to be used like Taysom Hill, but Sean Payton is one of the brightest offensive minds in the league, and it's
I don't know about young
different.
mind.
It's
He's a
apples
little
to
bit of an
oranges.
old boy.
Well, no, he is an old boy. I think I said he's one of the brightest. Did I say young? I didn't mean young. That dude was on the Giants staff in 2003. So
All right, Stick.
nudges aside.
Is that it? We're wrapping it? All right. So that just about does it for the Week 12 episode of the capsON podcast. You can check us out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at capsON Sports, capsonsports.com, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, capsON Sports, everything capsON Sports merch on capsonsports.com, everything capsON Sports. But for Tyler Blumenstick, Nick Tobias, Anthony Mano, and Sam Meehan, we'll see you next week.
Oh, what Sammy got there?
Oh, Sam's flashing some
ripping.
merch over there.
Got some merch.
Gang.
We'll see
Baseball
you next
tee.
week.